God for that, for His mercy and grace. Ushers come, will receive the offering today. Just worship God as you give. Remember things that are coming up. VBS is right around the corner. We're a month away from VBS. There's a lot to do yet. We need your help. Youth camp, if you would like to give for that. We have a great group going to youth camp this year. I want to help them do their deal. Next Sunday we'll be honoring graduates, and so we want you to remember to be a part of that with us. All the regular stuff going on this week, Wednesday night, youth and kids at 7. I started saying old people at Old Doc's. The adults at Old Doc's Soda Shop. This Wednesday at 7, so if you're not involved in something else, be a part of that. All right, come on, guys. Steve, would you ask a blessing over the offering, please?
Lord, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for this church. Thank you for all the mothers in this church. Lord Jesus, I pray that you bless them and bless your families. Pray that you bless this offering and put to good use for your kingdom. In your name I pray. Amen.
Lover of my soul.
seated. This chorus is perfect for today. You know, a mother's love is that thing that for all of us growing up, if you were blessed with a mother who loved you and cared for you. I'm not going to pretend here all mothers are not good people. All mothers are not loving. All mothers are not caring. But if you were blessed with one who is, who was, you were not alone. She was with you. No matter what the circumstances were, she was there. I'd like for all mothers that are here today to stand, please. And we have some young ladies who are going to come and give each one of you a rose as a special gift. Claudio, there's some gifts on my desk. Would you bring those here, please? And today, this is just a token of our appreciation to you as a mom. You're blessed to have your kids with you today. That's the biggest blessing of all. But if you're not, then we want to honor you with this anyway and tell you how much we appreciate what you have done and the sacrifices that are made as a mom. And we get everybody? Did every mom get a rose? All right, y'all can be seated. We got a few other gifts here we're going to give out. Okay, we're going to give a gift to the youngest mother here. I'm looking, I'm going, yeah, I think I got that right. I don't know. Let's start with, we have a mom who's 18, 19. Did I have the wrong one? Oh, she's got it written right here. Youngest mom, right here. I thought I could tell by feeling it. You don't have to feel it. It's got it written on here. She did this on purpose. That's why she came down here. Mom is 20, 21, 21. Aaron? Anybody else is 21? No? I was gonna flip it. Just stay up here for a second, please, if you don't mind.
I'm not the oldest.
This one's for the oldest mom here. So, do we have a mom who's 80? Don't think so. The one that got this last year is not here. 79? Peggy? Anybody want to flip her for it? Come on, Peggy. And I know her kids, she deserves every gift she can get. In fact, I've known her kids since they was kids. So, man.
How old does that make you?
That makes me 25. At least. And this is the mom with the most kids here. My brain works, my eyes follow. Anybody got, now, these are not kids that you just caught on the way to church, or they call you mom because they don't have anybody else that loves them in the world. I'm not talking about that. Because we can't afford all that stuff. Okay? I'm just going to bring it down with you. These are your kids, okay? Nobody else's. So, any mom here with 5 kids present? No moms here with 5. Okay, any mom here with 4 kids present? I thought it was you, Nancy. Come here. I had already looked around and counted. Go stand over there with them, please. Oh, where's our photographer? Mike, I didn't tell you. I thought it, but I didn't tell you to take a picture. That's okay. We'll do it like this. Here, Wes. Oh,
Yeah, that's good.
you take a picture of all that? Go ahead, get him Ellen.
I didn't get it, Brad.
You got me.
Oh, I got it rolling right.
Very good.
All right.
Let's give him a hand. Thank you all. We appreciate you. God is a blessing God. When it comes to those sorts of things in our life, they're things that you probably remember about your mom, no matter how old you are. It's always been interesting to me that you can talk to somebody way, way up in years in a nursing home, and they will say, have memories about their mom or mom and dad both, and they'll talk about them as though it were yesterday. And it's one of those things that touches the heart, moves our soul, makes us what we are. We're going to let our kids go to children's church, and while they do, you can fellowship with one another, shake hands, congratulate our moms. Don't leave, we're not done. Get more coffee if you'd like.
Lonnie's place today? For those of you who don't know, I'm the Executive Director of Transformation Pathway, which is Christian Women's Job Corps, Christian Men's Job Corps, the store right down here on Main Street. We're having graduation here Thursday night. We have 5 ladies that are graduating from the program. Since you're hosting it, the church is hosting it, we'd love for you to come. We're going to have refreshments afterwards. It's a great time of worship. You'll hear the testimonies of the changed lives of these women. And then we'll have fellowship afterwards. So I invite you to come 6:30 Thursday night. Thank you.
You notice I didn't walk off while you were standing. I'm glad y'all are here today. I'm glad moms are here. I'm glad kids are here. The day that we set aside and celebrate and Happy Mother's Day, I'm sure the cotton and the flower company love this. I can't imagine how much businesses have to plan for this because, you know, the flowers have an expiration date, especially the real things. And a lot of the flowers come from overseas. They're shipped here. And I'm not sure why, but that's true. A lot of them come from overseas. And all these things that lead up to this day of honoring our mother. And if you're fortunate enough to have her here today, she could tell us some stories about your childhood. We don't have time or the fortitude for that, probably. We don't want to know most of that stuff. And your mother, I already knew that. Some of you already knew that about her. Your mother was with you through a time in your life that most of us don't know or don't realize and don't even really care to know. In the Bible, women are talked about a lot. In fact, women's rights were biblical before they were anything else.
Right.
And if you think a modern agenda put women in power, that's not true. Women were helping rule Israel thousands of years ago. Women were helping make decisions. And in the story I'm going to read to you today from 2 Kings, women were doing prophetic stuff. They were being prophets. They were queens. They were leaders in their countries. They were having a voice in front of people and behind the scenes long before America decided to give women the right to vote. In fact, in America, slavery was abolished before women had the right to vote. A lot of other changes happened before women gained the right to vote. And in a lot of situations in modern America, women had to step up. Moms had to step forward in order to stop some of the nonsense going on in the world. This very day that we celebrate Mother's Day was actually started by a lady who, after the Civil War, was so distraught and upset over the loss of millions of young boys during the Civil War from both sides who had mothers had lost their babies in war. All those years and all that trauma that mothers went through, she wanted to have a day to honor the women who had sacrificed so much and to bring together peace in this country. And the day of Mother's Day was actually begun as a day of peacefulness, is what it was designed for. A day when moms can settle the fight and have a little calm here, please. And nobody does that, of course, better than mom usually. Sometimes mom's the instigator, but hopefully, in your case, your mom helped keep the calm. Go to read this story, 2 Kings chapter 22. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. 8 years old, remember that. And he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. His mother was Jedidah, the daughter of Adiah from Boskath. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight and followed the example of his ancestor David. Now keep that in mind because it had to go way back to David. He did not turn away from doing what was right. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent Shaphan, son of Azaliah, and grandson of Meshullam, the court secretary, to the temple of the Lord, and he told him, "Go to Hilkiah the high priest and have him count the money the gatekeepers have collected from the people at the Lord's temple. Entrust the money to the men assigned to supervise the restoration of the Lord's temple. Then they can use it to pay workers to repair the temple. They will need to hire carpenters, builders, and masons. Also have them buy the timber and the finished stone needed to repair the temple." I'm going to skip down. Verse 8. Hilkiah the high priest said to Shaphan, the court secretary, "I found the book of the Lord in the law's temple." Then Hilkiah gave the scroll to Shaphan, and he read it. Shaphan went to the king and reported, "Your officials have turned over the money." And then Shaphan, I've skipped down to 10, also told the king, "Hilkiah the priest has given me a scroll." So Shaphan read it to the king. When the king heard what was written in the book of the law, he tore his clothes in despair. Then he gave these orders to Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam son of Shaphan, and Akbor son of Micaiah, Shaphan the court secretary, and Asaiah the king's personal advisor. "Go to the temple and speak to the Lord for me and for the people and for all Judah. Inquire about the words written in the scroll that has been found, for the Lord's great anger is burning against us because our ancestors have not obeyed the words of this scroll." Big story here, and I don't have time to go into the whole thing, but Josiah began reigning at 8 years old. Now imagine that. Our 8-year-olds are next door if we're in here. 8 years old, he becomes king. Now, his daddy was a sorry outfit. His daddy worshipped idols, killed innocent people, sacrificed to Asherah, the fertility goddess, did all kinds of evil stuff. His grandpa was probably even worse and did terrible things. Set up idols to Baal, altars to Baal, sacrificed human sacrifices, all kinds of evil stuff. He had nothing to go by that was good in a father. And he didn't remember much, I'm sure, being 8 years old when a group of leaders got together and decided to assassinate his dad. So at 8 years old, his father, the king, is assassinated, and he becomes king. Now imagine having that responsibility. At 8 years old, I was worried about what I had in my lunch for lunch. When I was 8 years old, my mom worked at the school cafeteria. I liked it when I was 8. I didn't like it when I was in junior high. When I was in junior high, she knew before the principal knew I was in trouble. I'm not saying that happened a lot. But anyway. In elementary, I loved it. Because I'd hear those cafeteria ladies back there behind the line as we're going in the line and order quietly, not like they do now, with our tray going through the line. And I'd hear those ladies behind the cafeteria ladies going, "Oh, there's little Ronnie, give him extra potatoes." And on chicken fried steak day, we had real food back then. On chicken fried steak day with gravy and mashed potatoes, I got 2 pieces of chicken fried steak, 2 dips of mashed potatoes and gravy on it, and I loved that stuff. And 2 rolls. And back then I ate all that, so it was great. I loved having my mama there then, but when I got in junior high, it wasn't fun anymore. I don't know why she moved to junior high from elementary. Just because I did? Might have been a plan. It might have been a plan. At 8 years old, I was not worried about being king of a country. I wanted to be everything. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to go everywhere. I wanted to be, that's all I remember about being little. I wanted to do everything. Josiah comes on the scene following some of the biggest evil his country had ever known. Most of it was started by his daddy and his grandpa. Oh, evil had been going on for quite a few generations. But see, 350 years before Josiah was born, it was prophesied that he was coming. And he was going to set things straight. So you know what God did? Gave him a good mom. He had a job to do, and God gave him a good mom. Now, we don't know a lot about her. See, his daddy took the throne at 21. His grandpa took the throne at 12. And apparently they did their own thing and went their own way. But somehow I have to believe that Jedidah was a different kind of woman. Because she took an 8-year-old boy who was very probably vulnerable and very easily influenced and trained him up. And I'm adding stuff to the scripture today because I really don't know for sure. But her name in Hebrew meant close companion. Now that doesn't mean like being your kid's best friend. Because some parents screw up by being their kid's best friend, and your kid don't need a friend, they need a parent.
Right.
They don't need another friend. They need somebody to help them learn and be disciplined. And I have to think that she was close to him, but close in a way to mother him and train him to do the right stuff. Because he had no other example to go by. He had no one else to follow. He had no one else to think about, to give him good direction, except Jedidah. So from the time he was 8, now I remember my mom, she prayed every night by her bed, kneeling down, loud, where we could hear it. And in that little bitty 2-bedroom frame house, we could hear it. Well, we could hear it because all the kids were kneeling beside her. Daddy was in the back room trying to ignore her, but it didn't help. He went to heaven anyway because she kept praying for him. He couldn't fight it. At 8 years old, I remember hearing her pray for all the people, naming my siblings, naming her siblings. I remember hearing that and being influenced by that. Her prayers for me. On Friday morning, the ladies' prayer meeting at the church, where they went in the back door of the church into a little bitty side room, and the ladies gathered in there, and I tried to get away and go outside and do stuff, and they come and caught me. Little Ronnie, come in here! And put me in the middle of that group of about 15 women, and they all put their hands up and prayed for me, shook stuff out of me, and all kinds of stuff. Because of my mom. And if it hadn't been for her, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know for sure. I remember having high fevers and being sick a lot of times. As a kid, I had throat trouble and stuff a lot. Tonsillitis and things like that. And I remember her sitting by my bed praying, Jesus, take this fever away, praying. I remember her prayers more than I remember anything else about that. See, because that influence, I know how important it is. My mom had an 8th grade education. She grew up during the Great Depression with a single mom. Now, you think a single mother family, and some of y'all are fighting that battle now. It's tough. It's tough. But in the Great Depression of the 1930s, my mom was born in 27. She was raising kids. Kara got the youngest mom award today because she's 21 and you have 2. You'll be 22 on the 29th, right? My mom was 22, she had 4. Which didn't count me yet. And she had grown up during that Depression time with a single mom. So she quit school in 8th grade to become a worker and help my granny iron and wash and clean houses and do whatever they had to do to make a living. Tough. Tough stuff. And so when she prayed, she knew what she was talking about. She knew what it meant to depend on God and need God and have no other hope except God. From what I have learned, a lot of my granny's siblings thought she was the black sheep of the family and wouldn't help them out a lot or have anything to do with them. So it was up to them. And my mom did her part. So when we came along with only an 8th grade education, she made us every night sit down and read. And we might read other stuff, but we read the Bible every night. And we had to take our turn. If we could get parents right now in the 21st century to read with your kids one little 20-minute time every night, you'd improve your kids' education immediately. It would happen. Just that. Just that. Read with your kids. Okay, side note. I went to 1st grade. We didn't have kindergarten. If we did, they didn't want me to go. I don't know. My school didn't have it back then. But in 1st grade when we started, and my sisters told me that principal, Mr. Hurley, he had a paddle that had nails sticking out of it, and I believed it. I believed it. I was scared to death first day of 1st grade, but 2 weeks later I figured out it don't have nails in it. I colored the hair blue. Yes, I did it on purpose. Why I did it? The teacher said not to. But she taught us to read, and I started in 1st grade, and I'm looking around at those other kids, and I'm thinking, wow, where did these dummies come from? Why can't they read? What? They can't read Dick and Jane? See Jane run? See Spot run? What's wrong with these kids? I'm reading Whithersoever Thou Goest and all that kind of stuff. I'm reading Henceforth and Forevermore. I'm reading biblical, King James biblical. We didn't have nothing but King James. I was a big kid. We got a Living Bible. Woo. And we thought that was Antichrist wrote that. We didn't know where that came from. Somebody give it to us. And I didn't know why these other kids couldn't read. And I'm like, oh, I think you put me in the wrong class. Now they keep it up on the coloring. They're better to color than me. But they couldn't read. I thought, had a teacher tell me the other day, we was talking about one of her students, and she said, if I could just get adults at her house to talk to her. She has no vocabulary, nobody talks to her. And it's a dead giveaway. You can tell almost immediately when a kid the age this one is doesn't talk and can't come up with a word. It's simple. Nobody communicates with it. And it's hard to imagine, but you'd be surprised how many people put their kids in front of a TV or a video game and leave them there. And you don't develop much vocabulary on bing, 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 for hours. It's sad, it's true. We deal with them in education all the time. My mom was not a rocket scientist. In fact, you hear her talk, my Lord, she came from Shawnee, Oklahoma. And she sounded like it. Daddy said, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody your mom was a foreigner, boys. Well, she got to Texas as quick as she could. When she was a little bitty, they came to Texas, lived in East Texas, way out there, and her vocabulary, not like any of y'all's. Till the day my mama died, she called pots and pans on the stove vessels. Stove vessels. What are you doing, Mama? I'm washing the stove vessels. She said, ain't. She talked just like she wanted to talk, and you better not correct her. But she'd straighten out something in your life. It was a lot worse than saying ain't, I guarantee you. My mama heard a lady on our street call her kids devils one day. You little devils! I wish I had a report of what happened next. Because my mama straightened her out. just about sent her on to where she was going. Without saying the words. Because I never heard my mama say a bad word in her life. I'm telling you, and a bad word to her was dang. I can't tell you how much trouble I got in over saying golly, gee, dadgum, and dang. It's deep stuff in my house. I'm telling some of you think your mama's bad because she won't let you say the F word. You ever say that around your mama? Come see me, I'll slap you for it. I hear about people cussing their mama. If that had happened at my house, we'd have woke up dead. If my daddy had done that, my daddy and mama argued every day of their life that they lived together. I don't doubt it one bit. I know every day I lived in that house they argued with each other, but my daddy never cussed my mama because he knew he'd wake up dead. There would not be an option. She would kill him in his sleep. He was a pretty tough guy, wide awake, but asleep, he wouldn't have had a chance with her. Because once she got mad, my dad, Wes remember that, we were talking about him this morning. My dad, if he got mad at you, he'd tell you what he thought. If it came down to fight, he didn't mind fighting, he liked it. But he's done. After it's over, he's done. Now my mama, she might not talk to you for 3 days or a week. She might not even look at you, except to make sure you look good enough to go out the door. Oh my Lord. These kids that show up in the mornings, I wish my mama was standing out in front of that intermediate school. Watching them kids. She'd send half of them back home. You go home and brush your teeth and comb your hair and put on clothes that don't look like you woke up in. She wouldn't let us walk out of the house like that. Oh, I'd love to hear her. Stand her in one of those spots. We'd thin out school, we'd have everybody in the world offended. She wasn't worried about that. I wish I was blunt like her. My daddy was nicer, unless you made him mad. But I'm going to tell you, this influence right here with Josiah, that companionship she gave him taught him to be the king he became. And you notice what it says. He did not turn away from doing what was right. Even the descendant, the grandson and son and great-grandson of evil people, the grandson of one of those wicked kings Judah ever had, but his mother put some influence on him that he did not get away from. And I have to believe that. And when he found out what was in the book of the law, see, they found the scroll when they started remodeling the temple. That's another reason I think his mom had influence, because nobody likes remodeling better than moms. Us daddies, we don't care as long as my chair and my footstool and where my priceless possessions go is still in the same place and intact. We're not really too worried about it, but Mama's the one that wants the living room remodeled, the kitchen remodeled, the bathroom remodeled, and the temple probably remodeled. He prophesied 350 years before he was going to do it, so God gave him a mom who was going to see to it. They found the scroll and the law, and they hadn't been obeying it. And Josiah goes, he tore his clothes as a sign of shame and repentance. Tore his clothes in front of him when he heard the law read, and he said, oh my God, we haven't been doing this. We haven't been doing this. And so he sent them to inquire at the temple. And you know what they did? They found a woman prophet who told them what they needed to do. And they started obeying the law, and they started straightening stuff up, and they started tearing down the altars, and they started getting rid of the things that were an abomination to God. They started straightening up stuff. And here's this guy at 8 years old. And it says in the 18th year of his reign, so at 26, he starts this. Now, he'd been planning for it for a while. They've been planning for the temple. They've been planning for this ever since about his 8th year of reign. Since he was about 16. He'd been planning for this. Can you imagine being a 16-year-old king? And and his mama had to be the one. Now, forgive me if I'm adding too much to this story, but I don't have any indication that anybody else really had a whole lot to do with it until it came to that 18th year. And he goes to, sends his priests, his leaders, to that prophetess, and she says, here's what we got to do to get it straightened out. And they start repenting, and they start changing. I remember the undying prayers of my mother, praying for my sisters, praying for her grandkids, praying for me and my family, praying for people around the world that she was connected with, praying for people all over the place, her sisters coming to her for advice and for counsel over fears they had, over things that were going wrong in their life. Her being with her sisters as they died of cancer. Her own mother had a massive stroke one day, just combing her hair in the bathroom, and died. Before I was born, my granny died suddenly. I never knew her. But the grace of God moved in her life in a way that she was the strength of all those years we were growing up. I remember one day I got home from school. Some of you will remember when the little broadcast came over the radio about the end of the world. Some of you that are as old as me. That little radio broadcast about the end of the world. And they put it on the whole. I mean, it was supposed to be a joke. But people took it serious. I just got home from school. I walked home, walked in the door, and the phone was ringing. You know, that black thing in the hallway goes like that. And we only had one, and this one was tethered about 10 feet from there. I heard it ringing as I walked in the door. I just got home from school. I didn't know what was going on. I pick up the phone. Hello? It's my sister Linda, next to the oldest. Married, already had 3 kids by then. Ronnie, yeah? Mama there? I said, I don't think so. I just got here. Her car's not here. Where's she at? I said, well, I don't know. I just walked in the door from school. Whoa, did you look around? I said, the car's not here. She said, well, as soon as she gets there, you tell her to call me. I said, what's wrong? Nothing. You just tell her to call me as soon as she gets there. Okay, I hung up. I didn't know the world had ended. But Linda thought, of course, she was a wild child. She was living her way, doing her stuff. She didn't think it made a difference that I was still around. She wasn't sure if the rapture took place if I'd go anyway. But she knew if the rapture took place, Mama would be gone. And so she wanted Mama got there in a little while. Of course, I didn't know anything was going on. Mama got there in a little while. And I said, Linda wants you to call her. And that's when I found out. Linda thought the rapture took place. In the world. Where's Mama? Got to find Mama. And I remember getting out of my bed and crawling to their room and picking up to make sure Mama was still in bed. I didn't care that Daddy was still there. I needed to know Mama was there. Because, you know, the preacher that night had preached on Antichrist and the false prophet and Mark of the Beast and all that stuff. And I was sure that one of them was going to get me. But I knew Mama, if she's still there, we're good. Josiah had to have a connection to this person who loved him with the love of a companionship. Not buddies. Not buddies. If your buddy and your kids quit doing it, help them learn and grow and get some wisdom. They're not going to get it from their friends, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to need it from you. That's why God designed parents' parental guidance. It's a God thing. It's biblical. Get wisdom, get understanding. My son, listen to my words. And above everything else, get wisdom. This lady, who had been the wife of one of the most evil people that had ever been in political power, taught this 8-year-old boy to serve and follow and trust God. Now, I have to say, a few times I got agitated at my mama because she would tell me, don't be like your daddy. Just like that, no bones about it. That's the way she was. She didn't beat around the bush. I wish I'd have got some of that. She was direct, and she had a goal. A lot of times I got upset over it. Because she'd say, nope, you're not going. I'm not going with Daddy. Nope. And Daddy was smart enough. He said, you listen to your mama. He wasn't getting in that. Church, every time the door was open. We had Wednesday night church. We had Friday night Royal Rangers and Missionettes. We had Saturday night they called an evangelistic service. We had Sunday morning Sunday school. We had Sunday morning church. We had Sunday afternoon CAs, Christ Ambassador Youth, and you remember that, Denise. And we had Sunday night church. And on Mondays, about once a month, they had a men and women's fellowship, and we had to go to that. But we didn't miss much church. Every time the door was open, and I'd say, Daddy, I want to stay here. I want to stay here. Mama could hear me with an army tank running. Ronnie? And Daddy'd say, you listen to your mama, son. He knew better to fight that deal. He'd been in a few fights with her. He didn't want to carry that out. By fights, I don't mean physical, because she would have killed him. Again. See, the toughness of this woman, can you imagine what it was like? Your husband had been assassinated by leaders. He was evil and wicked. Might have been a relief to her to some degree. Your father-in-law was worse, probably, and evil, and worshipped everything, including the sex gods. Built statues to her and to every evil thing that had ever happened. In fact, the scripture says, read this story, because it says that these two guys were more wicked than their pagan neighbors. They did more wickedness than the evil people around them that were supposed to be evil. That's bad. Here's this mom, single, widow, left to raise a king by herself. She had to have a powerful influence. That has to be where this came from. Because this young man, and you got to read these in 2 Kings and Chronicles, read the story. He never turned away from serving God. And God brought judgment on Judah later, but he waited till after he was long gone, because he did what was right. In spite of his dad, in spite of his grandpa, in spite of all the evil leaders, in spite of everything going on around him, I have to believe Mama stepped up and raised an 8-year-old boy to follow God. Didn't just, well, son, what do you think? What do you think? Here's what you need to do. You need to follow God. You're going to read the Bible. I didn't have a choice. I didn't think any kid had a choice. Get your Bible, Ronnie, we're going to read. And so me and my sisters sat down, and we could pick anything we wanted. You know what it's like? Helping a first grader read what he chose. When it's, and so-and-so begat so-and-so, and so-and-so begat so-and-so, and I pick my own scriptures, and my sister would go, Mama, don't let him read that again. Because they'd read some little, we got to pick. They'd read some little chapter. Usually we had to read a whole chapter. They'd read some little short chapter, and I'd find this big old deal, or I'd read Psalm 119, and start on it. Mama wouldn't let me finish it. Just to agitate them. We read. It was an option. And then it was time to pray. And Mama lays her Bible down and kneels down with the bed, and we all kneel down too. It's not just sit around and just kind of do it all while Mama prays. She would have slapped you the next week. Boy, you've never lived over it. And she's praying. My daddy's in the back room. A lot of that time when I was little, after I got to be a bigger teenager, my dad started going back to church, and God did a lot of stuff in his life and helped him get connected to God because of her prayer. But I remember the many nights she'd sit down, kneeling by that bed, going, "Oh God, help Alton." That's my dad. "Do something for him, Lord. Change his heart." And he could hear her. Well, Walter Cronkite couldn't get loud enough to outdo that. This woman, I think, prayed every day for that boy. And she led him in the Scripture. She led him in faith. I can cook today because my mom taught me. She had several major surgeries when I was about 10, 11, 12 years old in that category, in that range right there. Had several major surgeries that almost completely incapacitated her for weeks at a time. And I would get home. My sisters would have to leave to go to work after they got home. And she'd say, "Ronnie, fix this in there. Stir this, add this." Now, I'd go back in, "Okay, what now? Okay, now add this and stir this." And that's the way I learned to cook. Let your motherly instinct, ladies, guide your children. Don't listen to the world and just leave them up to their own devices, because they will find devices that are not right. Give them some direction. Give them some guidance. Help them understand. And I don't care how big they are, if you've waited a long time and you think it's too late, get the law book out and read it to them. Get it out and help them see. The direction of God is still right. The truth of God is still right. Let the truth of God be a part of it. And ladies, that you did your time, and you helped as much as you could, and you prayed as much as you could, and maybe you made some mistakes. Let God forgive you and heal your guilt, but let God push you forward as a mother of grown children to be what you can be. And you can't nag them, that don't work. You can't just preach at them all the time, that don't work. But you can pray a prayer that is unstoppable. Amen. You can pray prayers that never go away. I believe the prayers my mother prayed for me are still kept in the throne room of God. That don't go away. Some of the things that helped me survive were the prayers of my mom and my grandma and some of those ladies in that Friday morning prayer meeting. They're still there. I can still feel them shaking me. Oh God, help little Ronnie! Don't let the devil get in his heart! Grace of God. Reach out for it, ladies. Get direction from the Lord. In whatever phase of life you find yourself now, use wisdom. And if you feel like you screwed up, you messed up that childhood of that kid that's now grown, get over it, ask God to forgive you, and pray about the next deal. There's a kid somewhere. There's a grandchild. There's someone that God can use you to help. And I know bad things happen in families, and sometimes people reject their parents or reject their mothers. Don't get too messed up over that. Let God help you. There's plenty of them that need mothering. There's some right here. Oh. There's some right here that need a mama to hug them, to show them love and compassion. You would not believe. You really, most of you that don't go in schools and spend any time there, you would not believe the amount of children who don't know basic motherly compassion anymore. It's not there. In some cases, mom's too busy with drugs, and mom's too busy with boyfriends, and mom's too busy with, and these kids don't even know what it's like to have the security that mom's still going to be there. And worry about my mom being there. I knew if the rapture didn't take place, my mama was going to be there. Only thing I was worried about was God taking her. Let God move into your heart. Don't give up. Let's pray. Father, I want to thank you today for these people that are here. I want to thank you for the moms that are here. I could see the look on my mama's face and her shaking her head as she'd been here today. She was the one bragging on her. Thank you. Thank you for what you gave me. Thank you for helping me in a troubled time. Thank you for the protection you've given my life through her prayers. The guidance you've given me for her. Pray for the moms in this room today, Lord. First of all, I'd like to pray for those who are doing their job right now, raising kids right now. Give them wisdom and guidance. Help them to not be like the world. Help them not to learn from you too how to do this. Help them to learn from you, to be directed by the Spirit, to be guided with your love and your compassion to do what needs to be done. I pray for those who've already raised kids that you would give them wisdom and direction to be able to help others, to be able to guide grown kids, to be able to pray prayers for those who are struggling. Bless them, Lord, for all their sacrifices. Bless them for everything they've given. God, I pray for those who feel like they messed up that episode, who feel like that during the time they were raising kids, they made a mess of it, who made some mistakes, who did some things that probably didn't need to be done, but now that's over. I pray you would give them healing from that wound. Give them true forgiveness, Lord. Help them to feel your compassion, your love, and help them to let go of that guilt. And use them from this point on to love others, to share the faith and the love of God. Let your peace be with you. And God, I pray for us, the children of mothers. Those that have their moms still with them, I pray that you would help them to show love and compassion to them, no matter what their childhood was like, that they would be able to love them and honor them. For those of us, Lord, who our moms are now in heaven, I pray that you would help us to be able to ride on their prayers, to be able to follow their advice still, be able to live according to their wisdom, faith, and love. Bless us today for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you. Thank you for being here today. Have a great day. If we missed any moms with the flowers, if you'll catch one of these girls, they'll get one for you. Anybody get missed during that? And the children's church, Bree, I don't know if we got the children's church mom flower. Did we? Oh, we did? Great. Thank you.